Welcome to Through the Looking Glass. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the American healthcare system. But before we get into that, as always, I'm going to hand it on over to Russ.
I just want to point out that clap was crisp.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That was a solid one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Through the Looking Glass, where a couple of guys sit down, talk about things going on in our world and different things and all this interesting stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about America's healthcare system, maybe what we see could be done differently, or just pointing out some of the bull crap, because there's a lot of it. Like always, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. If you want to come on, talk about interesting stuff, or just hang out and be a part of it, please do. All right, we're going to get started. So American healthcare, it's garbage.
All right, the end.
Yeah, basically.
See you next week.
It is pretty bad. I mean, it's been bad.
The quality is good.
Yes.
You get good service because they charge so much.
Well,
but
depending where you go.
Yes.
But that's the thing, is you have the option to go to different places.
Mhm.
So
So,
of course, you're going to pay thousands of dollars more if you want the very best, and you're going to have to travel. You're going to have to seek out services from one of the best doctors, but that's also why a lot of doctors around the world come to America, because there's so much monetary gain.
So just a story from here locally recently that was on Facebook that I saw. Actually, it was the brother of a guest we had on in the past who had gone to the Arnott, the post said like 3 or 4 times in the last like 2 months, complaining about stomach issues. And because he told them he smoked cannabis, they kept trying to tell him it's just that cannabis hypermesis syndrome.
I've never even heard of this.
So it's a real thing, but it's very rare. It makes you like sick to your stomach where you feel nauseous. You have like stomach cramps. Strangely enough, one of the cures for it to help it ease up or go away is a hot shower.
I thought you were going to say more cannabis.
No. But anyways, so he went to the Arnott a couple times for that, and they didn't do any further testing, kept turning him away. Finally, he goes up to Guthrie, and when he got there, come to find out, he was like septic. He had, I think it was a gallbladder infection, and they actually, if I'm remembering what I was reading correctly, they actually had to schedule like an emergency surgery for him. And it's like, man, I feel like that could end up in a lawsuit if they got the right, if they got the right lawyer. Like they didn't do any further testing except telling him it's that cannabis hypermesis syndrome.
See, I'm not sure how that would work. Like if you as a patient say, no, there's something wrong, please do tests, and then they deny it, I don't know.
That's what I mean. I don't have the full story, just from what I saw on the Facebook post. It'd be interesting to maybe try to get him on here sometime and talk to him about his experience and see what happened. But yeah, I've not heard the greatest things about the Arnott. There's a lot of people that have issues with the Arnott. That's
one of the things, though, here in the United States is, you can literally sue a ham sandwich. So if he has the money or he finds proper representation, he might be able to sue Arnott for their failure to follow through.
I'm guessing
diagnosis.
If he's sustained any damage. But
if he's gone there several times and they've denied to do tests for him or something, at the very least, I could see him being like, well, I've been to this hospital 4 times in the last 2 months, so they now have to cover those 4 visits because they failed to do their job. Something like that I could see, but I have no expertise when it comes to filing lawsuits.
That also, it also shows somewhat of a discriminatory practice, because they're basically, because he smokes cannabis, trying to just deal with it quickly and saying, oh, it's this cannabis hypermesis syndrome. We're starting to see more of it. And it's like,
you know what he should do? He should start putting things on social media and do a GoFundMe and reach out to different lawyers in the local area.
The thing is, a lot of lawyers would take that pro bono if they thought they could actually win a big lawsuit.
Against a major
Mhm.
hospital. Yeah. It would take a couple of years, but most of the times hospitals, that's why hospitals have insurance.
Mhm.
They'll just settle out and it'll be that.
It's too bad when I got attacked by that dog that the dog didn't attack my face, because then the lawyer would have taken the case and gotten me a nice lawsuit. The lawyer told me for that is if it didn't scar up real bad, there's not a whole lot he'd be willing to do because it's not worth his time to only get a $5,000 to $7,000 lawsuit.
But I mean, it could be psychologically traumatic, but that's much
It's somewhat-
harder to prove.
It somewhat has been. Anytime now I hear a dog behind a door when I'm delivering, I get nervous. Or if I see the dog trying to like get through the owner's legs, I immediately get nervous. I never used to be like that. And it sucks because I love dogs, but now I don't trust other people's dogs.
That is something that you will have to discuss with a therapist about. Because if that, I mean, some people might say it's silly, but it's a traumatic experience to be attacked by a dog. And even the smallest forms of PTSD, I mean,
I just know next time if it ever happens again, I'm throwing punches. I actually, since then, another
at a
lady,
dog, hell yeah. throw
another
punches.
lady I was delivering to, all
no,
three,
we're
all
not
three
going to
of,
abuse animals.
all
no,
if a
just
dog
defend
attacks me,
ourselves.
I'm beating the fuck out of it at this point. I don't care who's got a problem with it.
But for self-defense,
Yep.
purely self-defense, we're not going to go out here start punching dogs for no reason.
Because this other lady, all three of her dogs got past her and out the door, and the one was jumping at me barking, and I even told her, you better get your dog because I'm going to punch it. She didn't give me a tip after that, but I don't care.
She didn't give you a tip?
No, probably because I threatened her dog, but her dog came at me threatening, and this was only like 2 months after I had been attacked. And it's like, I'm not being nice to the next dog that does that.
Well, there's no way for another human being to know if you've experienced a traumatic thing. But
Mhm.
on it, there's a lot of
People should put
people.
their dogs away when they answer the
Yeah.
door if they know they're like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's just a lot of people that don't know how to raise animals, which
Mhm.
is really sad. You know,
And
see it all the time.
Speaking of that dog bite, tying it into the healthcare system. So I was at the ER for about 2 hours. I was only actually in an ER room for 1 hour. So for 1 hour in an ER room, for them to clean my wounds off, wrap my wounds, give me one antibiotic pill and a tetanus shot, it was $756. That just seems a bit outrageous for that kind of treatment. They didn't do anything serious.
Yeah, you can go buy gauze for like $5.
Yeah.
Hydrogen peroxide for $4.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the antibiotics, whatever, that you can't really get those over the counter. But
But still, one antibiotic pill
But
shouldn't
why-
be that expensive.
why a tetanus shot?
I think it's just standard protocol when a dog bites you to get a tetanus shot, and then you have to find out if it's got rabies, and if it's not up to date on its rabies shot, then you got to go get that. Luckily, this dog was up to date on its rabies shot, so I was good there.
I don't understand why tetanus would be standard procedure.
Because I think you can get tetanus from a dog bite. Let's find out real quick.
Well, if they gave you the shot, then most likely, yeah, that kind of. Otherwise, they're just wasting medical equipment for no reason. But
Yeah, it says
That's
dog
strange.
bites can often lead to tetanus.
Didn't know that.
and tetanus is just metal poisoning, isn't it?
No, tetanus is a bacteria often found on metallic
Like
surfaces,
rusty
especially
metals
when
and
it's
stuff.
rusty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when you step on a nail, get a tetanus shot because the bacteria thrives off
Hmm.
rusty metal.
Yeah, they said I'm good for like 5 years or something like that now.
That's what the true, like, bill came from, is they got you up to date on your shots.
Yeah, I don't think a vaccine should cost that much.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
I mean, since we're talking about how much they charge people for things at hospitals, I got a nice little list here of different things. On average, they charge $15 for one individual Tylenol pill.
Wait.
For one pill.
So if I go to a hospital, say such and such is hurting, and a doctor fills out a prescription for acetaminophen, it's $15 a pill.
That's just if they give you one. If they fill out the prescription, you're usually getting it from the pharmacy, so it'll be cheaper there.
Is
Which
that like a 9 million milligram one?
I have no idea, but I feel like 9 million milligrams would be around probably $15.
Bro.
I mean, I buy a 500 count of the 500 milligram for less than 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So-
like $4 or $5.
So the ones that they actually give you at the hospital, where they got a nurse has to fill out the form, collect the medicine, and bring it to you, watch you swallow it. That was $15 a
For
pill.
$15 a pill, it better be fucking magic and cure cancer too.
That's wild.
Here's another one, a box of tissues, sometimes on your bill listed as mucus recovery system. A single box of tissues in a hospital on average can cost $8.
Bro, and they're not even 4-ply Kleenex.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just paper.
They're trash.
It's basically just sheets of paper.
Here's another one, the pair of gloves the doctors put on, the non-sterile gloves. On average, they charge $53 per pair.
That's
Just tell them to not use gloves.
yeah, that's quite
And it says
stupid.
here in parentheses, the sterile ones are at a higher cost.
Well, of course. What's the difference? Like just rub fucking sanitizer on your gloves.
The little plastic cup they bring your pills in, $10 for that little cup is what they charge.
What?
Yep.
Yo, we're not staying at the Bellagio. What? What?
The
$10 for a cup?
marking pens they use, like if they're doing surgery or, I mean, this one's more for like elective, like plastic surgery, if they're marking like the lines on your
Yeah.
face and whatnot. $17.50 on average is what they charge just to use that pen.
No wonder when I went to the ER once, I was in a room for maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. All they did was give me what do they do? Give you to calm you down?
Usually some kind of benzodiazepine.
Yeah, that's
It's usually like Ativan or Xanax or something like that.
Oh, you were having a panic attack?
That's what they listed it down as, but my whole body went numb and my throat closed up, and so we went to the
That
ER.
sounds more like an allergic reaction.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, I couldn't. My limbs went numb. I couldn't feel anything. It was hard to walk. Couldn't really breathe. Couldn't really think. But
They were
Yeah,
just
well,
like,
I
you're
know-
freaking out, man. Here,
yeah,
take
it was,
this.
It was.
Panic attacks can get very bad, especially if you're not breathing correctly.
I mean, it wasn't a panic attack. I was just sitting there ready to go to work, and
A lot of time with the panic attack, people will mistake it for a heart attack. They'll feel like the stress and pain in their chest. Like I know
Yeah.
quite a few people that have gone to the ER over that, and it just turned out to be like a stress or panic attack. But like, I don't know, the symptoms he's listing, body
Yeah.
going numb,
but that's the
throat
thing with
swelling up, hard to
hyperventilation.
breathe.
When you hyperventilate, if you're not getting enough oxygen, it actually can cause rapid onset.
yeah, my
like,
breathing was
swelling.
fine. I just felt a weird sensation in my chest, and then
Interesting.
yeah. When we got there, like they got me right in. Like I was still able to walk. I was still conscious and everything, but it was kind of fuzzy. But yeah, about 2.5 hours in the room, and then just the IV drip of whatever they gave me, and it was $1,400.
It's probably just
Jesus.
saline. That's usually
Yeah,
all
it
they ever
was
put
it was
I
crazy.
think they charge like $250 like an hour just to have your little room there, which is silly. Because there was that's why I wish I brought my bill. I forgot it, but it on the bill it like stated what each charge was, and one of them was just for renting the room basically.
It's wild.
Yeah, I wish I would have got an itemized list of
Of everything that
what
they
yeah
charged.
what they charged.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it back then. I mean, this was 5 years ago.
It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, they're out here charging $20 just to take your blood pressure with the little blood pressure thing.
Yeah, blood pressure cuff.
Oh, and not just the little cup they bring the medicine in. They also charge you to take the medicine. They call it an oral administration fee, and on average, it's $6.25 per instance.
So that's just the nurse watching you take the medicine.
How-
Basically, for the nurse to hand it to you to take it.
How much do they charge you to breathe while you're in there?
I think that's part of like the whole renting the room, like
Yeah.
the cost of the room. You're taking up the oxygen. If you're in the operating room, they charge on average $93.50 just to use those overhead lights. And then here's one that seems pretty wild, and I would like to almost double look into this another time. But a swab of alcohol, like if they're cleaning the site where they're going to give you a shot or an injection, $23 per swab.
That's insane.
Yeah, I can buy a whole box of 100 alcohol swabs for cheaper than that.
Yeah. So I do have a graph here. I want to make sure I get this correctly. Per capita, prescribed medicine spending in the U.S. grew by almost 70% from 2004 to 2019, compared to 41% in comparable countries, with modest growth in the U.S. from 2006 to 2013 and a sharp increase from 2014 to 2015. So on average, per capita, in the United States, per capita, so like for every person, on average, an insurance company is covering $963, while a citizen is paying $164 out of pocket. The next closest country is Germany, which is interesting because Germany has socialized health care.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies in Germany per capita is paying around $770 per person, where out of pocket, German citizen is paying $55. Canada, $590 compared to $147. And at the very, very smallest, we've got Sweden, where on average per capita, an insurance company is paying $270 and a citizen paying $109. So even though the medical expenses are less, it does look like in these other countries,
You're paying roughly the same.
the people,
Maybe a little
the
less,
citizen
but-
is still paying a greater portion.
Well, they're
And-
also taxed at like 60%.
Yep. And a lot of these are socialized countries. So Germany, I know, is socialized healthcare. Canada's socialized healthcare.
Both of them are on the top 10 list of
Yep.
countries with the best healthcare, though.
Japan is socialized healthcare. Switzerland is socialized healthcare. Austria, Belgium, Australia, United Kingdoms, and Sweden. So every country on this list besides the United States is a socialized country.
And all the ones you listed, or most of them, are on the list of top 10 countries for healthcare as well.
Yeah. So we, on average, as Americans, we are paying more, and our insurance is paying more of that. That is kind of crazy to think that Sweden is paying 2/3 of a bill, where the citizen is paying 1/3. But here in the United States, an insurance company is paying 9/10 of your bill.
But our 1/10 is probably still more expensive than their 1/3.
So in Sweden, on average, a Swede national is paying $109, and an American citizen is paying $164.
Yep,
So,
so they're-
$60 more.
Their third is
So-
is still less than our 1/10.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some comparison costs here.
Like for like surgeries and
It's got a couple different things on here, like for example, MRI in the U.S. An MRI will run between $1,497 and as much as $4,054. Well, this is Canadian dollars. I must have clicked on a Canadian article when I found all this. But New Zealand, not a whole lot cheaper, maybe by like $400, $1,084. In India, it's $481. In Australia, it's $288, and in Spain, it's $242.
But their money is also depreciative.
But this is all in
yeah,
Canadian.
they're
This is
saying,
all in
and
Canadian
if you were to
dollars.
go there with that money,
Yeah. If
that's
you were to
how
go
much
there
it
with
costs.
Canadian dollars to Australia, it would be
So
288.
80% less.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure what drug Avastin is, but in the UK, it would cost $629. In Switzerland, $2,343, and in the US, it would be $5,256. crazy.
It is. So, with these other countries, how do you guys feel about socialized healthcare?
I like the idea of it if my tax money was actually, going to paying for people's medical bills and medical costs. My issue with it in America, and I'm sure you guys would probably share the sentiment, I don't trust our government to run and regulate our healthcare.
No.
Yep.
These
That's
other
exactly.
smaller European governments seem like they got it down, which also makes me wonder why so many of the ingredients in our food in this country, why they're outlawed in European countries where they're not in
Yeah,
their food,
They
because
want us sick.
their government is probably
But our
thinking,
food
well,
wouldn't-
shit, we're paying for their health care, so we might as well try to keep them healthy to keep the healthcare costs down.
No, the medical industry in the United States is just another $1 trillion industry.
hmm
It is designed to make money. And I do believe. So I'm not a huge fan of socialized anything. Socialized medicine, we've seen in other countries work in certain aspects and then fail miserably in
Mhm.
others like Venezuela and Cuba.
How corrupt are their governments compared to the European ones, though?
So during the socialist revolutions, let's just say in Venezuela, they made it illegal for doctors to put starvation as a cause of death. So that's how bad it got. But I mean, you go to a hospital, you're going to be waiting forever to see it. It's sad what socialism has done to a lot of countries, and it's good for other countries like Sweden and Switzerland. They have seen a really good outcome to socialized healthcare.
Their population's a lot less.
Yes, and it's homogenized.
Yeah, when you
So,
go to Canada, there have been people that said they've had to wait weeks
yeah,
just to get in.
That's strange, though, because Canada is on the list of top 10 countries for healthcare.
it's
I've actually heard a lot of good things about
it's
the Canadian
emergency
healthcare
care
system.
It's after emergent care. So emergency care in Canada is pretty good, but it's after when you have to go see a general practitioner for some reason. Their average wait time is around 27 weeks.
Shit.
So if you need to get a surgery or you've got a gallbladder infection or cancer treatments, typically you're waiting about 30 weeks.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll just say, "Do you want to die instead of getting
Yes.
treated?"
Now,
It'd be a lot easier.
oh, what is it called? Oh, crap. What is it called?
Assisted suicide.
Yeah, their assisted suicide program. They named it something real cutesy.
Oh,
Yeah.
of
But
course
yes,
of course
yeah,
they
they've
do.
also did commercials for stuff like
Yeah,
that.
what was that? Lady had a broken leg, and they were like, "We can just kill you if you want."
Yeah, and she didn't want to, but
Yeah,
then
that's
she did
wild.
the commercial for Yeah.
Wild.
So I'm with you, Adam. Yeah, I think our government would screw it up, but like, would they do it on purpose? Like,
Yes.
oh, this is what the citizens really
Probably.
want. Well, now we're gonna fuck it up for you guys.
I feel like they would fuck it up by trying to put more money in their pockets and not actually put the money towards the healthcare.
That's what they
Yeah.
always do.
So
Mhm.
it would get even more expensive for no reason. And
How much money did they lose? What was it?
oh, the new numbers that just came out,
Yeah.
with,
Probably
like,
somewhere in the trillions.
Yeah.
yeah, the national defense lost like 1.2 trillion.
Yeah. Just
They didn't lose that
They-
money.
they-
They put it towards black operation programs,
But that's
covert programs.
But God forbid I made a $600 transaction with somebody. Oh boy, I'm gonna get. Sometimes I really hate this country, but other times it's like,
our government.
yeah, true. I hate our
the
government.
country's awesome.
The country's beautiful as
Well,
fuck, man. I've traveled the whole thing. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah, the government is just they're evil.
Awful.
They're evil and corrupt.
Yeah,
Almost every last one of them.
yeah.
They're
The- one
bunch
of
of
the main
cockwombles.
reasons. one of the biggest problems I see with socializing things, especially here in America, is we will become slaves. So, oh, you need to go to the hospital? Well, what's your credit score like? It's all socialized, so if we don't like you, we're not going to do the best services we can for you. And it's just another form of slavery. That's all I see.
they
is
implement it-
socializing things is slavery.
If they implement a social credit system, it better not fuck up the credit score I already have. I've been working hard to fix
Oh,
that.
they're going to be in tandem. They're going to
Most
work
likely.
in tandem. So I don't see it. I mean, we could try it. You know, at this point, it's like things aren't working. So we need to start doing something else. Socializing healthcare probably isn't the way, but what we have right now is obviously not working. So we need to start trying something else.
Well, if you want to fix the system, hospitals need to charge in, like with what Adam was saying, they're charging 1,000 times more
Yeah.
for things than what they're actually worth. If they just lowered the cost to an acceptable, oh, is that off a little bit?
The ball is all.
There we go.
Yeah, they're
it's bad. I
charging
forgot
too
what I was
much. They charge too much for everything. Like insulin, we've all seen the things where it's $700 for a needle when it should be like $40.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, would it go up 3,000% or something?
Yeah.
Didn't you
ridiculous.
work with a gentleman that
Diabetic.
his insurance wouldn't cover his insulin and he was sick a lot because of it?
There were a couple of instances where he missed certain appointments, and yeah, they wouldn't cover a good portion of his insulin. And
So what good is the insurance even then?
hey, they're there to cover the 90% of the 3,000% increase.
Yeah. See, I think this is where I fall a little more left on the political spectrum, because I don't think we should have to pay what we pay for a higher education. I think our taxes should go to better educating the public so we're not a bunch of fucking idiots, or where, poor people don't have the opportunity to get a higher education unless they're already extremely smart and can get a scholarship. And same with healthcare. I don't think we should be paying out the ass for healthcare. And I personally wouldn't mind my taxes going to make sure people are healthy and in good condition.
The problem I see with that is the solution is never to throw more money at it. So yes, it would be good if our tax dollars went towards these things.
Maybe if we didn't throw so much money at Ukraine and Israel, then we could use that money to actually help people in a healthcare or an educational setting.
But I think if we lowered overall taxes for American citizens and used the money appropriately,
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking the same amount of taxes that we do right now and throwing more of it at a particular problem, we've seen that doesn't work. It comes to incentive and motivation for certain drivers. Like you brought up with education, what we do is we find the good teachers, give them more money, and then give the bad teachers a swift kick out the door. That will make big waves in the system for quite a while. But I mean, if we want kids to be educated properly, we need to incentivize good teachers and stop just throwing endless money at a problem that money is not fixing. I don't understand how we can say last year's school budget was X billion dollars and our test scores are still going down. Okay, throw another X billion dollars at it. That hasn't solved the problem the last 10 times we've done that. Why are we acting like insane people and trying the same thing over and over again, getting the same results, but expecting something different?
Perhaps there's something wrong with the curriculum, which is why test scores are going down. I also have my own hypothesis that I'm sure there's plenty of other people that think the same or agree that the technology our kids have are also affecting their learning.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly on that.
Yeah, they don't need to learn when they can just look everything up.
Teachers are also having issues with kids pulling them out in the class. Like I recently watched a compilation of teachers like talking about how bad it is with their students, where they don't want to listen to any authority that's not their parents anymore, like way worse than when we were in school.
I mean,
The
not
one
even
seventh-
their parents.
The one 7th grade teacher said his students read at like a 4th grade level. That's pretty terrifying if you got 7th graders reading at that level.
Yeah. It's all bad. I
Well-
understand where this became a big issue, and I don't know why, but I do kind of understand where, oh, you can't take my child's phone away from them in school. What if they need to contact me? listen, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, kids didn't have cell phones.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
You're
no
not-
emergency to where you need to contact your go down to the office, call
Yeah.
them,
I mean,
and if you're dying, they're gonna
yeah,
you know
there
they'll get you to a
might
hospital.
be an emergency for something, but get a life alert, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah, raise your
Oh,
hand. Hey, teacher, can I
what
use your
if
phone real
there's
quick?
what if there's a school shooting? There's 100 teachers,
Yeah.
and what are you gonna do as a parent?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
they're not gonna allow you
honestly, yeah. You're
Another
gonna get stopped
issue-
at the front door.
Another issue I have with the schools too is schools now are basically, and this ties into the healthcare system.
The prison
Schools
camps.
are basically putting pressure on parents to force their kids into taking medication, specifically ADHD medication. If a kid won't sit down and be quiet and pay attention in class or is disruptive, which I feel like no growing boy is meant to sit in a chair for 7 hours a
we're not.
day. I think it's nonsense that the school can dictate, oh, we won't allow your child to come back if you don't put them on medication. Like, I'm sorry, I'll find something else to deal with his ADD or ADHD. I'm not putting my child on amphetamines. I've been down that road myself as an adult, and I saw as an adult how it changed my mental state and my behavior and made things worse with my relationships with people around me. And it took a whole year after coming off of it for me to actually feel like myself again.
What I never got is if you don't send your kid to school, you go to jail. Like, you can't just take your kid out of school and
You have to file the proper paperwork.
yeah,
for
it's insane. It's a ridiculous process because school is just about useless.
Yeah,
It's-
it's pretty boring.
I'd say in most cases, it does more harm than good.
Yeah.
You don't really learn anything that's useful.
Well, there are some things that you learn are useful. You do gain some social skills and things like that. But as
yes,
for the
but
general knowledge, it's all just indoctrination.
yeah, it's things you're going to learn anyway, or things that your parents should be teaching you.
Yeah.
And the way the school's set up, it would be better to have like a big homeschooling class.
Yeah.
That like you get somebody like a teacher and then just have them homeschool. That's what people are doing. That they'll
Or-
have a neighborhood will get homeschooling teachers and pay them to come in teach their kids instead of
Or
sending them to school.
Even not just homeschooling teachers, but trade value, where
Oh, yeah, it's
you've
way
got
better.
6 or 7 kids. Okay, we're going to take them to this guy that does woodworking or metalworking and things like that.
Yeah, see what each of them are into and get them going young.
But Western society itself, our education system is based off of the Persian model from everything that I've seen. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but it's based off a Persian model basically designed for indoctrination for factory work.
Yeah.
So in the Industrial Revolution, this is where the idea for our education system came from. It has obviously failed. And this is one of the examples we have of a socialized system in America being put into practice. And look at it, it's failed. But just like you said, Adam, with your concerns with the medication, we've had cases out of California and Colorado where parents aren't even being informed that their kids are being put on prescription medications.
That should be illegal.
It is. But guess what? The states don't care.
Especially
And the federal
California,
government
yeah,
is
they're
not
not gonna
stepping in.
they're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, there's been several kids who have been put on medications in school. They take the medicine at home, and the only way the parents find out is when the kids like slip and say, "Oh, when I go to school, I have to go here," and they give me this thing, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" They're
I
like,
would.
"Oh, I'm rowdy at school, so they gave me a pill."
I would lose my shit.
I would
If
punch teachers in the face.
if I found
I would
out-
fuck a teacher up if you're putting something in my kid's
Yeah,
body.
if I found out the school was giving my kids amphetamines, I would go there. I'd wear a dare shirt to school to start throwing punches. Like, drugs are bad, okay? Y'all taught me when I was in school, drugs are bad. Some of them are pretty cool, but drugs are bad, okay?
But their
You're not gonna put my kid on 'em?
justification is that doctors said it's okay because your child is rowdy. And it was like, No, this is a 13-year-old boy with pumping hormones throughout his body. He needs to go outside and smack sticks together.
He
We
needs,
need to
he
get
needs
him
to
outside.
run around and play to the point of exhaustion.
Yeah, we need to show these kids what you can do by blowing glass or melting steel and hitting it with a hammer, like forging steel,
Mhm.
working with your hands. And for some reason, our school systems just don't do that. I mean, we segued straight from medicine into the public education. And it's just showing how socialized systems don't work, especially at a national scale. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. It fails.
Do you
And
think?
we're seeing it?
Do you
fail.
think programs like that could work more on a state or local level compared to?
Smaller
national?
the better? Smaller
Mhm.
the better. There are. Look at the Amish example. The boys in Amish segregations and communes, they all learn how to woodwork
Mhm.
and to do things around the house, how to farm, how to build, how to do these things. They're not exceptionally rowdy. They're not violent. They're taught how to do these things at a young age and how to have responsibility and accountability for what they're doing in their own community.
They might
If
get a
we
little.
had something like that, if we had small pockets where a group of a dozen adults would take 20 or 30 kids and go till a field and start growing plants, you would see these kids just light the fuck up. They'd be
Mhm.
like, I grew tomatoes? What? I grew tomatoes?
The Amish might get a little rowdy during Rumspringa, but that's about it. That's about
Well,
it.
they deserve it. I think they deserve it.
I don't know. I think they do know how to have a little bit of fun. You ever seen the video
Of course
of
they
the?
do. Have you seen them dance?
You ever seen the
They get
video of the
down.
dude doing donuts in his horse and buggy on the snow? Had the horse just turning and
I
he was
have
doing
not.
donuts. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Little Ishmael probably got
There
told
was
about
there was another one where the dude had a rope tied on to the horse and buggy and was being dragged behind it with skis on.
Yeah, they probably do have some fun like that, but they're not like gang banging in streets and
I don't know. There is the Amish mafia we talked about in the one last episode.
the Amish mafia. I don't believe it, but I don't. These
Other-
systems just don't work, and they haven't been working for some reason. I think there's a large group of powerful, wealthy, influential individuals who see the system crashing to the ground, and they don't care to fix it. They
As
just
long as their
they
profits
want-
keep going up.
They just want to be on top of the pile of rubble when
Hmm.
it finally crumbles, so that they can rebuild in the way that they see fit.
Yeah, there's movie after movie about that.
Yeah.
Another issue I have with our health system is how it's kind of just become about pill pushing.
The medical industry ever since the 90s.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
don't want natural cures. They just want to
Yeah.
alleviate the symptoms instead of
Hmm. Well, it's
curing.
like I talked about on a past episode when I asked my primary care physician the one time a while back if he could refer me to any mental health specialists. And without hesitation, without asking me any other questions, he says, "Oh, you want me to prescribe you antidepressants?" No, guy. I'm just asking if you know any good professionals in the area you can refer me to so I can just sit down and talk to someone and sort my shit out.
But that's a solution. And they don't want you to have a solution. They want you to be a customer forever.
I don't know. My solution has always been and I don't condone this because it can cause for some bad times, but when shit gets rough in my head, I like to fucking take 2 hits of LSD and just work through my shit.
I'm sure that'll.
I think in the future-
that deep, it
I
might,
think in the future, mushrooms, LSD, other psychedelics will actually be a viable option for mental health care. Kind of like they're doing with the MDMA trials where
and the ketamine.
you have the multiple trials where you're actually in a controlled setting with your therapist talking about stuff, but while on MDMA, because the way that it opens you up and makes you more empathetic and open to expressing things and even being like more honest with yourself about your thoughts and feelings. It's showing great promise, and the ketamine too for what they call treatment-resistant depression, where they've tried all other forms of treatment, different pills, different therapies. Nothing seems to be helping. The ketamine is actually showing great promise with that. Ketamine will give you the munchies, man. Not while you're on it, but when you come down. Like, I was hungrier coming down off ketamine the first time I did it than any time I think I've ever smoked weed. It was strange. I just wanted to eat everything in the house. I was like, what the fuck, man? Why am I so hungry right now?
I think this might be one of the downfalls that we're seeing in late stage capitalism, where there's too many people that are trying to be a part of a solution, but it's not really a solution.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have doctors that had holistic treatments. And you can find them still online. You can go on YouTube and find like, oh, my sinuses are all congested, and you'll find these people are like, well, this is what you do. You put your thumb here and you pull and you do a thing, and because of your sinuses, the way they're up here, this will help move certain tubes and bones around to where it actually leaks out, instead of just, oh yeah, take a couple Benadryl.
Well,
where
a lot of our solutions in this country have actually caused a lot more problems as well. Like, I know it's,
I think they're disguised as solutions.
I
They're
know
not
it's
true
just
solutions.
a series, like a TV series. It was on Netflix. I think it was called Painkiller, about the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma.
I think I remember seeing some commercials about that. It
Like
had a kid that I liked as an actor, but that was basically them going to like the miners with like the coal miners, and they went to them with the painkillers, like
No, this was them prescribing Oxycontin all over the country. You could go to a doctor with a headache, with frequent headaches. They'd prescribe you Oxycontin. Here you go, Oxycontin, Oxycontin, Oxycontin. They put out these cute little plush toys to advertise Oxycontin. I know it's just a TV series, but I feel like what they portrayed in the series is quite true. The people that would go around to the doctors trying to get the doctors to prescribe it, the basically legal drug dealers, the shit that they would tell them to say to persuade these doctors is just absolutely terrible. And
they were offering them money.
It's something like that too, where the creators of it knew it was addicting, but at first went around saying it wasn't addictive. They knew it was going to cause a problem. They just didn't care.
It's just like cigarettes in the Marlboro.
Similarly, and maybe this is why
Morris did the same thing.
And this is maybe why I had somewhat of an issue taking the Fauci ouchie, because I believe still to date, Pfizer still has the biggest criminal lawsuit in history, where they had to pay out like $1.3 billion in restitution for, it was either like false advertising or something about lying with one of their medications or products. And it's like, you really expect me to trust a company that's been hit with lawsuits that large when they've been known to lie about side effects and other issues that they've had with their products?
The case that you just brought up right there, I don't know if this is relevant, but I think one of the reasons why it was one of the largest payouts in history is because the company itself was found to do unhanded methods, where they had some kind of an accounting firm that would, so they knew the side effects of the drugs. They knew it had adverse effects. And they calculated that if they paid out so much money per adverse effect, they would still be making record profits by the people that didn't have the effects.
Instead of trying to fix the
yeah,
medicine.
So instead of fixing the problem, they concluded that accepting the losses from the lawsuits was acceptable. And that was one of the larger findings when it came to Pfizer. Or was it Johnson & Johnson actually has the high? It's
Probably
one of those two that
probably
you said.
all of them.
Yeah. But, yeah, just like you said, the Fauci ouchie, I don't trust a man that said horrendous things about gay people in the 90s and AIDS and then turns around and says, I am the science. You have to believe me. No thanks, bro. You're 94 years old and one of the highest paid government officials who wasn't elected into office. You just got the job and you've been wrong 3 times in your medical lifetime. Like, why should we listen to you?
I don't know a shit ton about the science about it, but I was finding independent scientists that did know about that kind of stuff that were speaking on it and had their issues with it, though it was hard to find that information because it was being silenced during that time. Dr. Malone was one of them, but there's this other guy from England. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's still making videos on YouTube talking about the vaccine and its current boosters and issues that are coming about with it. I still know, isn't one of the biggest issues with it has been the myocarditis issue, people having heart issues?
I haven't heard much about it in about a year. Seems a lot of things have been very quiet. It's still very, things have been more quiet than usual the last couple. I know we.
That's because shit's about to get fucking crazy later this year.
Yeah, but it's been too quiet for too long.
Like, that's why I think things are gonna get fucking crazy. The idea of the calm before the storm.
Yeah, everything's building up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this has been so calm for so long. I don't feel like we've been.
We're coming up on a year where it hasn't been too crazy because things were a little weird last March, April, May. There was a lot of shit we were talking about when we first started getting together and talking about the podcast, but then things just kind of died down. It was below normal levels of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Russia,
it does
Ukraine
feel
was dying
just
out a
popping
little bit.
off. And it feels like we're watching a movie where we're sitting on the beach and we can see, how the water recedes, and we've just been watching it recede for months. And to think of what's coming.
Probably not
Trump's
going to be
going
good.
to prison. I think he's going to prison. I don't think he's guilty, but more and more stuff has been happening. I don't
think he is. Honestly, I think if they did that, there'd be so many people there.
Probably be riots.
There'd be an instant riot.
I think there's too many people scared from what happened from January 6th.
There's a lot of people that just don't care anymore.
Maybe
a lot of rednecks with a lot of guns.
It might be finally what it takes, but I don't know. But there are so many problems right now, and
we're up on the 80-year mark. Yeah. There's that 80-year hypothesis where every 80 years something crazy happens. Like in the 1860s, you had the Civil War. 1940s, World War II. Well, here we are, 2020s. We're at about that 80-year mark. What's going to happen? Is World War III going to break out?
Isn't what's that clock? We're 60 seconds from midnight or whatever.
The doomsday clock.
The doomsday clock. That's what it's actually called.
We're probably a lot closer than 60 seconds now.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't moved at all in the last 2 years. It's stayed still. And typically, I think from what they've said is whenever we see a heighten, if nothing happens, it does typically die back down. The fact that it has stayed in its spot is a really bad sign. Basically saying, we only got one shot left.
I mean, with things heating up in the Middle East and that conflict, with things between Russia and Ukraine, didn't we just bomb Yemen? I know we just bombed somebody recently.
The Houthi rebels in Yemen, we showed force over there. Israel just did another strike on Gaza. The Senate sent through a bill on Super Bowl. So they snuck that in they tried to sneak in another bill for more funding for Israel and Ukraine while trying to call it something stupid.
Did it have to do with the border bill?
Yes, that.
Yeah, and then they wanted to slam Republicans for not passing it when they wanted a more secure border.
When it literally had nothing to do with the border. Nothing in the bill had anything to do with securing the border. It was saying, hey, no, we're just going to allow this many people through. That's not securing the border.
Oh, yeah. And, what was that?
And it also had something slid in there about funding Ukraine and
And there was
Israel more.
a weird clause that the next president would not be allowed to do anything about it, or else
Or
he will
they'll be-
immediately be impeached
Yeah.
as
That's
like
odd.
basically
Yeah, they'd be jailed.
a checkmate gambit against Trump if he
Mhm.
wins.
But can't the next president just rescind that? Can't
No.
they just
It's one of those things where Congress actually believes that they have power, even though Congress is supposed to be what declares war, but hasn't declared war in the last 60 years. So everything's fucked right now, man. Everything's kind of fucked.
Side topic: did you guys actually watch the Tucker Carlson Putin interview?
I got about 40 minutes into it and I forgot to get back to it.
Yeah, it took me 2 nights because the first night I did it, I decided to do a dab while I was watching it. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on my couch downstairs. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I watched the rest of it the next night. It's definitely interesting. It's left me with 2 possible perspectives that either A, Putin's telling the truth about what's going on and America's involvement in what the CIA is doing, or B, he's just regurgitating talking points that are just propaganda to try to get people in this country to believe what he's saying. And it's hard for me to decipher between the two, but I tried to just watch the interview with an open mind and not have any bias going into it. And I just kind of took it for what it is. I definitely don't think Putin's used to being interviewed. Normally, he's just kind of giving speeches or talking.
Yeah.
I don't think he's used to somebody pressing back on him and asking him to elaborate further.
Yeah. But he definitely did that for the first like 30 minutes when he was starting to
Mhm.
go through the
How long
history
is
of
the
Russia
interview?
and Ukraine.
Like an
About
hour and a
2
half?
hours.
2 hours.
I get what he
Oh,
was
that's
doing,
it.
though, going through the history of Ukraine and Russia, trying to start from the beginning and then
Yeah.
bring it up to where they're at now. So we at least had a better understanding of the history of it.
And I think he did that on purpose
Mhm.
because he understands some of the radical leftism here in America, how they
Mhm.
see, stolen land. Well, Ukraine was traditionally a part of Russia,
Hmm.
and then they illegally seceded from Russia. So Russia's just taking their land back. Isn't that what you guys are all about?
Hmm.
There's even a large movement in Ukraine where a lot of them do see themselves still as Russians and they want to be a part of Russia. So why are we interfering over there? I don't get it.
I don't know why Ukraine just doesn't give up and
Because
just merge with them.
incre-
Russia's not that bad of a country.
they're incredibly corrupt,
I don't-
and they've been the laundering pocket of the United States since 2014. So, how else are you going to launder billions and billions of dollars to try to keep the American economy afloat by
Yeah.
giving a country hundreds of billions of dollars of our money so that they can purchase our military equipment from us? That's artificially like greasing the wheel
Yeah.
for our own economy. That you don't see a problem with that? I see a big problem with that. It's kind of backwards.
There's been a lot of problems with us trying to arm other countries in the past or helping them with arms and ammunitions.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out well for us in the end.
Just look at Afghanistan.
Mhm.
The Soviet Union did it to them in the 80s. They left all their equipment there. And now we just did the same thing. So the next country that tries to attack the Middle East for their oil reserves are going to be facing essentially people in tunnels with like night vision goggles and M16s. It's kind
They
of
got nice weapons, but they're not the best at using those
Yeah,
weapons.
what was it, like $3 billion worth of equipment or something like that?
something
It was-
absurd.
Yeah, it was insane.
I thought it was $7.4 billion worth of equipment
Oh,
That we
maybe.
left over there? Let
Yeah.
me find out.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it was
after the
tanks and
September
planes
retreat.
and millions of rounds of ammo and
Yeah.
nuts.
But yeah, like Adam said, they're not the best at using it, but they have to learn how to use it all from scratch. It doesn't matter if they're good at using it.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can throw a rock at you and kill you. So
Yeah, you were very close, Russ. It was 7.12 billion remained in Afghanistan.
That's stupid.
I wonder how much we left in Iraqistan.
Too much. Far too much.
I just remember the
I don't understand
Iraqi
why we don't destroy
the-
this equipment.
Iraqi police used to bring us weapons caches when I was working with the police transition team at the main police headquarters in Fallujah. Their police would go out, they'd find these weapon caches and bring them back to us. We'd put things in the dud pit. EOD would come out and blow up like the live mines and shit, which was, it was cool to see. But a lot of times these weapons caches they were bringing us, American-made mortar rounds, American C4. It's like, I wonder where they got all this stuff. Probably when we all just left it here during Desert Storm.
Most likely. Sometimes I see where the socialists and the communists are coming from, but then I remember what their ideology brings with it. And I can't get on board.
Death.
Like,
Yeah,
I get
death
it.
and destruction.
Same thing with the anarchists. Like, I totally get you, dude. I totally understand, but
Yeah, but you can't have a lawlessness
Yeah.
society.
just
Because that's
burning everything to ground. To
that's
the
what the
ground
Native
to start all
Americans
over.
did, and we see how that ended up.
I feel like the only way you'd be able to have complete anarchy is if everyone existed on the same level of consciousness that Jesus Christ did.
Yeah, everybody would have to have good intentions.
Exactly.
which-
That's the only way anarchy would
That's
work.
just not how
And
people learn.
evolutionary,
Yeah.
we are not.
Unfortunately,
Evolutionary
because human
ready.
beings have free will, they will
Do
do
we?
evil deeds.
Do we?
We do.
I don't know. I'm still trying to get Amjad to come on and have that debate because him and I are determinists.
That'd be a good one.
You know, I wish he would have told me he had all week off this week. He just told me that on Saturday, that he had all week off this week because it's either midwinter or spring break or something.
winter break.
Yeah, midwinter break.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if you would have told me that, I would have set up having you come on the podcast on Monday so we can actually
think-
have that debate.
He just wants to stay anonymous, so we should give him like some kind of big old mask.
No, he
Or
said
you
he said he'd be willing to come on.
It'd be cool. I haven't talked to him in a while. It's our world right now. I don't know.
It's a beautiful place.
Can be. It's just humans.
I feel like on a
Humans.
macro scale, when you look at it, it's pretty terrible. And I actually talked to Amjad about this the other day when he got bringing up like when you look through the world's history, there's just so much death and destruction and war. And I said to him, but that's kind of looking at the whole planet on a macro scale. I said, when you zoom in on a micro scale, there's so much love and kindness and compassion that we forget about because of all the atrocities in history. And I think,
Yeah,
that's
if you
where the whole
focus on
balance
all the
thing works out.
atrocities- If you focus on all the atrocities throughout human history that we're aware of,
Mhm.
seems pretty bad. But if you then flip it and then start looking at all the good throughout human
Mhm.
history, you do see reasons to keep
Even
going.
even all the good on a micro scale of things that are never ever reported on, just small little deeds people do to help each other out that come from a place of love. That's what I try to focus on. I pay attention to all the bad. I acknowledge that it's there. I take it in. I try not to have an emotional reaction to it and just try to assess it for what it is and redirect my focus onto things that are more positive in life. Because there was a point in my life where I focused on all that negative and holy shit, it drove me to a really bad place. That's actually when I started going to therapy.
It will corrupt you and bring you
Mhm.
down for sure. It's all about them energy waves,
Well, a lot of it was too
Vibrations.
my focus on the negative on the external world was because there was some negative within me that I was not acknowledging or dealing with. So I was projecting my negativity out onto the world and finding that negativity and everything else out in the world because I didn't want to look at myself. Not saying that there aren't still bad things going on in the world, but now I don't give it the same energy that I used to. I used to let it drive me fucking mad.
It seems healthy. I did for a while too, where things got very bleak, and it's just like, every day you wake up right around the corner, it's like, oh, there's World War III, or they're going to come take this, or they're going to do that. Or it can get daunting and very quickly corrupt your mind. And I'm sure it's made people go crazy.
We should place some bets. What's going to happen first? The next pandemic, World War III, or the false flag alien invasion?
I think they've tried to do the alien thing, and there was too much pushback. I think it has to be a more natural happening.
I think they'll all have to do with each other.
I think if there's a false flag alien invasion, it will come in the middle of World War III.
Yeah.
If they were to pull that tactic.
That's a little bit too much on the nose to like Watchmen, though.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
So the movie is loosely based, but the comic books and the graphic novels of it, they were on the brink of World War III, and in order to stop it from happening, this guy invented a false flag to an alien invasion, and Dr. Manhattan had to go destroy it. He was in on the plot because he, as basically an omnipotent being, could foresee what was going to happen. He was a little indifferent to what was going on in the world at the time.
Could you call that predictive programming?
They did it on purpose to stop a global war. So
that's what I mean. Is the movie showing predictive programming and putting it in our minds that, yeah, this is a possible reality that could happen someday, the false flag invasion. I mean, if they're trying to start a one world government, and if the world was at their third world war, and the threat of us destroying ourselves was on the table, what better way to bring the whole world together and to get them to stop warring with each other than to say, holy shit, we've been attacked from outside of our world. We need to all put our differences aside and work together to fight this threat.
Yeah, but it would have to be, there would have to be a major effort to force it onto people that won't believe it.
I mean, if you blow up a couple big cities around the world using your own military technology and then telling people it was aliens, that might get people to fall for it and believe it.
Sure. With technology right now, though, everybody has cell phones. I think it would be difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but there would have to be strict authoritarian crackdown for it to work properly.
That's probably what they did in Hawaii and Chile. They were testing weapons to make it look like it's something that we couldn't do.
I would see it more plausible on smaller scales over a period of time rather than one major event. I think it would have to start in small pockets to then.
I think it would work better as a major event if they kind of like the movie Independence Day, if they coordinated a simultaneous attack on big cities like Los Angeles, New York City, Shanghai, like all these big cities, Tokyo, and they were all attacked simultaneously with crafts that look like UFOs but are just government property, and using some technology that they have that we don't know they have that would very much look like an alien invasion. And I think humans being dumb and panicky, like dude says in the first Men in Black movie to Will Smith, I think it would work. People are always looking for their safety and looking for somebody to keep them safe. They would all probably be looking to their governments. Oh my God, what do we do? How do we fight this? How do we stop this attack? How are we going to beat these aliens that have better technology than us?
But that's to assume that these governments would be not saying that they're not capable of it, but as we've already discussed, when a program is pushed out to the public in such a large scale that hasn't been done before, there's too much room for error.
Mm-hmm.
So the more people that you have involved in such an operation, the more likely the chance of somebody either blowing the whistle or doing something wrong, something failing.
Well, even if somebody does blow the whistle, people look at him as though they're
Oh,
crackpots.
he's crazy.
Yeah,
Sure.
because there's been
But there will also
countless-
be a very large group of reactionary people who say, "No, I don't believe it." So,
that's already happened. Look at the dude with the
But that's why I'm
the
saying
Area
there-
51. It's happened countless times.
I mean,
there
even
would have to be. So if it came to an alien
it just
invasion,
gets brushed under the
right,
rug.
where the world then comes together, the world governments coming together would have to enforce. They would have to take an authoritarian stance.
that's
Yeah.
where America's military bases set up all around the world would be helpful. But like just Jesse was talking about the whistleblowers, and this is to tie back into the healthcare system. Look at some of the whistleblowers that came out that were involved with the Pfizer trials for the jab. They were made out to also be crazy people, just like Dr. Malone when he was expressing his concerns about the whole thing. It's pretty easy in this day and age to just have the news get up there and say, oh, this person's a mental case, and then everybody believe them.
It's propaganda and indoctrination, which it just makes me think of the Starship Trooper books and the movie itself. And like I mentioned, the game that I've been watching, Helldivers 2, absolutely. There's a large portion of Americans who have been indoctrinated to think the way America wants us to think. Like, we're the home of the brave, we're independent, we have individual rights and liberties. But if you go halfway across the world, our Western worldview as we live in America is completely backwards to them. But that's all they ever know. So
I mean-
two people on the same floating marble have such differing worldviews.
Well, our indoctrination in America now is even changing. It's almost like, strangely enough, they're trying to get into the heads of younger people to hate this country.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm noticing that more
so
and
that
more.
when it falls, they're not so angry about it.
That's
Mhm.
absolutely what they're doing.
Mhm.
I could see it for sure.
I love my country.
When
I
it's
just hate how
time
it's being
for
ran.
when it's time for the world to unite, there's no room for nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I could see it. Definitely. But then I just think of these, like, I think of George Orwell's 1984 with the Ministry of Truth and Starship Troopers, where it's a totalitarian fascist dictatorship. It doesn't matter how our worldview today is if something happens 50, 60 years from now to where people are taught to believe something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how human beings have such a huge impact on reality. Reality is what we created to be. Like, if our minds were wiped today and every single person was to believe that monarchies were the way the world should be run again, then that's just how it would be. Just like 400 or 500 years ago, peasants running through the streets, they believed that kings had all the power. They didn't really, but that's what they were raised to believe, that you respect the monarchies, these royal families, because they have power because we say they do. And now they don't. So, as time goes on, we as human beings, we believe what we believe.
Are monarchies the best system of government for the
No.
planet?
No.
Then how come the universe is a monarchy?
Is it?
If God is in charge of everything, that's kind of a monarchy.
Is he in charge, or right now is he just more of a passive observer?
I think he's asleep. I think he's
just
I think he's
an
dreaming.
observer.
I only say that because on the seventh day God rested, right? I never said anything about him waking back up. Maybe that motherfucker's still sleeping. Somebody wake him up. Tell him, hey man, shit's getting crazy in here. You gotta wake up and deal with this.
Well, so
kind of like Supernatural.
let's do the math. So it is suggested or hypothesized that our universe as we know it is what, 400 billion years old? Something like that.
4.3.
I thought it was 13.6.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Earth is.
That's fine.
Yeah, the Earth is.
The Earth is
4.3,
4
they
something.
say,
Yeah.
and the whole thing's
So-
like 14 or something.
Let's take, so if God created the cosmos throughout different days, let's find out if our universe is
13.7 billion years old.
divide by 7. How long is a day?
The cosmic day.
And then we might be able to figure out when God is going to wake back up. We cracked the code, Jesse. We know it.
Well, he describes a day in the Bible.
Does he?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly
as a
how
length
he.
of time?
Yeah, just as we know it today, from sunset to sun, like the 24-hour system, with the way the sun works.
According to your math, though, if it were broken down the way you just said it,
Yeah, it's like almost 2.
one cosmic day would be 1.957 billion years.
1.957 billion years.
But we'll just take the Earth because the Genesis story is only God's creation of Earth, isn't it? Not the whole cosmos.
No, he created everything.
It's
These segues today are kind of smooth, but still like way out there.
yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about
With the
one,
shitty
one
medical
subject. Yeah. It'd be a lot of.
If we had like real experts like what Rogan does, I don't know how he pushes 3 hours, but some people they got so much to talk about with one subject.
Yeah,
Like if we had
it's only 3
medical
guys that know a
expert
little bit about it,
Yeah.
and but when
we don't got the time. We don't got the time.
Yeah, even
man.
if we were breaking down the age of the Earth and dividing it by 7 for like cosmic days of the Earth, it would still be 657.142 million years.
long time. So he could be asleep. No, I think he's just passively observing ever since we rebelled against him and told him to get lost. He was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to watch what you retards do then.
That's kind of, I think, what the Hindus believe is that God is almost, or the Brahmin is like asleep playing hide and seek with himself. That we're all in this drama, that each and every one of us is part of that soul of God, but it's like he's playing hide and seek with himself and having these dreams while he's sleeping. That's obviously just a very brief explanation of it, but Alan Watts talks about it a lot. I don't know if you guys ever listen to Alan Watts.
I don't think.
Big Alan Watts fan.
I don't know much about, you said Hindu? If that's the Hindu belief?
Hindu belief. He talks a lot about Eastern religions and philosophy, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, Taoism. I'm still under the belief that Jesus learned about those things. There's the hypothesis from the time he was 13 until he was 30, when there's like no accounts of him, that he was actually traveling around learning
But it does
different
say
philosophies
that he did
and
leave and then he comes back. Yeah.
Mhm. Where did he go?
It makes sense that he would travel around.
Well, there's said to be accounts of him in India, Tibet, Japan, and there's even one account that said during the time he was alive, which would have been in that age gap period where there's no accounts of him, that he even went to England. I'm like, that's a lot of traveling, but he had a lot of years to do it. And it's, it's very possible he went and learned all these
Sure.
religions and philosophies and
became truly enlightened.
Mhm.
But if he was already the
Well,
son
yeah,
of
he
God,
wouldn't need to learn all that stuff.
That's where I
But
still.
if he was just a human man,
That's the way
that
the
didn't
Gnostic.
have divinity.
That's the way the Gnostic texts make him out to be.
Just a man?
That he was just a regular man who awoke himself through gnosis or through knowledge, and that each individual has the ability to do this because each and every one of us is God in the flesh. That we aren't God, but we are a
That's
piece of
silly.
him
You can't
in the
turn water to
flesh.
wine.
You can't do what?
Well, David
Turn
Blaine
water to wine.
can.
Oh, I forgot David Blaine can.
Yeah, he can do it. And Chris Angel.
Chris Ant, yeah.
Chris Angel can do it.
You seen him on Steve-O a couple months back?
I did see some clips of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool episode.
I've
Yeah, I
seen
watched
some
that.
things where a couple of magicians have beef with each other, or something about like David Blaine. where
Competition,
people
man.
have
It was
beef
between
with-
him and David Blaine like 15 years ago or something.
When they were both getting started.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing those old shows. That was interesting.
The one that always got me is when he levitated above the pyramid building there in Las Vegas, whatever that casino is called. I can't
That
remember.
was David Blaine, where his
No,
most
no,
famous
it
were
was
Angels?
Chris Angel. He was levitating above it, and there was like no helicopter or crane above him. So I'm like,
And they
always
tried
been-
to see if it was a tightrope, but it was near impossible because he wasn't like
yeah, he
doing the
wasn't
motion
bobbing.
as
He
if
just
he was
like
on a tightrope.
he just like lifted up off the ground and
Mirrors. Oh, this is mirrors and lasers.
I think
probably something like that.
I
It was
think
like
it's
when
mystical packs
when
with-
David Copperfield
demonics.
made the Statue of Liberty disappear when I was a kid. I finally, as an adult, learned how he did it. The whole stage where everybody was sitting could actually be turned. So when he put the curtain up so they could no longer see the Statue of Liberty, slow enough to where the audience couldn't feel it, the whole stage turned so when he dropped the curtain, you could no longer see the Statue of Liberty.
What?
Yep. Yep.
That's
Aw.
kind of cool.
Yep.
Mm.
Pretty solid trick to make people think you made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
I, for one, truly believe with like David Blaine and Chris Angel is that they made pacts with demonic entities.
I think it's all just smoke and mirrors and
Yeah.
illusions.
I've
Yeah, 'cause-
seen some
'cause-
shit.
Because
and
there's
I've-
a lot of the magicians out there that will tell you exactly how the people do it.
Sure, but there's like no magician has been able to tell you how Chris Angel does some of the things or
Well, yeah, of course there's going to be a couple things that they can't figure out.
It could just be because
Right.
he's such an innovator that
Yeah.
he's figuring things out that they didn't in the past. I mean, I just feel like all arts, they all kind of evolve as we evolve and
Mhm.
and time goes on. I feel like he's just coming up with new ideas that they haven't fully figured out
and
yet.
a lot of it is just
maybe.
technological advances
Mhm.
with some of the machinery that they have. They can do things that appears to be real magic, and it's
Mhm.
just a cool piece of machinery.
I do
Mhm.
like to believe that there is real magic. I mean,
You just got.
I've said it so many times. We have a computer in our pocket. Like that's magic.
You
Like,
just gotta
let's just admit it.
drink
It's
goat's blood, and
magic.
you can probably do some of that.
I mean, maybe, but to think that we have like a mobile television in our pocket at any time where we can contact anybody on this planet at any
Yeah.
time, that's magic. That is.
Not
I don't-
anybody at any time.
Yeah.
You can try to contact me. Most of the time, it's not going to work.
But the fact that I can even attempt it and I can hear your voice because ones and zeros are flying invisibly across the sky, I don't care if science can explain it. That just means it's magic that can be explained. That's all it is.
I've always wondered if magic or what we call magic was just some kind
Things-
of science or
science
something we
we
haven't
couldn't
figured out
explain.
yet.
That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Is it's things that we've been able to figure out.
I
We
wanna
just
know the-
call it science now because we know how it works.
yeah,
I want to know the science of the Jesus spider. We were just talking about Jesus a minute ago.
Jesus spider.
So they're called fishing spiders, but I call them the Jesus spider because they can run on water.
Mm.
Yeah, you want a whole new terrifying element to spiders. Just know these ones can run across the water.
No, I just seen something about spiders shooting like thousands of threads so that they can actually traverse waters, and that's how the thing when you walk into a
These ones just run right across it.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make you
Fuck those
terrified,
things.
what about the flying spiders that do I think it's called ballooning? They can like shoot a little bit of web up into the air and somehow they just
Oh,
Take
yeah.
off and fly.
The wind takes the string
Yeah. They're in
and
Australia,
because they're
aren't they?
so light.
no, there's some even I think that live in America too.
Oh, really?
Well, that's
Yeah.
how baby spiders usually travel from the egg sacs. Is they have a little bit of reserve. They will into the air, and then the wind takes the web, and they just get carried with it. And a lot of them end up dying because they get caught in the air and other
Yeah.
things.
listening to a lot of anti-prophets videos. He had Erica and I about convinced we wanted to move to Bali. And then just 2 days ago, I saw a video that said, why not to move to Bali? And this lady was taking a video and there's just wherever she's at, there's just spider webs everywhere with big spiders on them. I'm like,
Ooh.
I've
They
gotten
want us
over
trapped here in America.
I've gotten over my fear quite a bit. I've let a tarantula crawl on me. Like when I was a kid, I was absolutely terrified of spiders. And now I can at least get to a point where like, you know, I trap them and set them outside instead of killing them and being terrified. But if there was that many spiders and that size of those many spiders, I'd probably give me the heebie-jeebies.
I think it's one of those things where if you were in that environment enough, your body would acclimate to it and your mind would as well. Humans are very durable in that sense. Like we can travel anywhere on the world except for the North and South Pole, and our bodies and minds will acclimate to the climate. So we are kind of amazing creatures, as dumb as we are. So who knows?
We might be the smartest dumb creatures on the planet.
Yes, because dolphins are smarter and
We're
they're
either
not
the-
as dumb.
We're either the dumbest smart creatures or the smartest dumb creatures. I
We're the
haven't figured it
smartest
out.
dumb creature, I think. No, we're the dumbest smart creature because I've seen people as smart as we are do some really dumb things for like a TikTok video.
Shit, I missed back in the day when
The
we just
vines.
used to do dumb shit without recording it.
Aw, I remember doing dumb shit for the vines. Do it for the vine, man.
I never did the vines, but we did do some dumb shit in high school. We made an amateur jackass movie. We called it Shit Happens. Me and some friends. I was the getaway driver for their second movie because I had the vehicle.
Are you admitting to crimes right now? I think you should be quiet.
Is it illegal to throw a drink back through a drive-through window?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, then
That's
yeah,
salt.
yeah. What
What if it falls out of your hand?
Oh no, this didn't fall out of my hand. I
Well-
launched it.
Well, yeah,
I
I'm
said
saying
fire in the
it
hole.
Fell out of your hand. Oh, oops, sorry.
Into a window that's 4 foot away?
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the circumstance, you might still be charged with assault. You know, if the employee and another employee was like,
Involuntarily
no, he threw it, then you might still get charged with assault.
Yeah, I straight up launched it. I even yelled fire in the hole before doing it. Just boom. And the best part was it was a Burger King cup that I threw into a McDonald's window.
Oh, that's just
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah.
What was in the cup?
I think it was just some Coke or Pepsi, whatever they had.
Oh man, that's all sticky.
Yeah.
You're
I was
a real dick.
definitely a dick move. Definitely a dick move.
I mean, it could have been battery acid.
It could have been worse, yeah, if it was battery acid or
Yes.
something like that.
Yep. But through your determinism lens,
I couldn't have
You
made any
doing
other
that-
choice.
you doing that could have then set that person in motion to where their entire life was now ruined.
Or maybe they said, you know what, fuck fast food. I'm going to get out of here and figure out something better for life. And maybe I changed their whole life.
Maybe, or their life was already shit and they were one of those mediocre people where they could have eventually climbed the corporate Burger King
And then they
ladder
just
and
went and-
became a
Or-
general manager and
or now-
lived a somewhat decent life.
Or now every time they see a Burger King cup, they have terrible anxiety and freak the fuck out because I gave them PTSD.
That's I like that one. That one. Yes.
Highly possible,
PTSD from seeing a BK cup.
Man, we convinced a kid to jump off a roof and to aim for like the tips of branches on a tree because it would slow his fall down. That didn't work. And we convinced that same kid to also try to run across a frozen pond, and it was not frozen enough. And the cuts on his back, it tore his back up because when he went through the ice, it all just broke and just sliced him up like it was glass. It's pretty bad.
Are you still friends with this guy?
Not really friends, but like, you know, I see him and I say hi to him, cordial. Don't want to
I
name
bet every
drop.
time he's like, you motherfuckers, I swear to God.
Nah, he was cool with it. As long as we gave him a cigarette, he'd pretty much do anything.
One cigarette.
I
Yeah.
mean, nicotine.
It's the most
Listen.
addictive substance on the planet.
Philip Morris knew what the fuck they were doing, okay? When they decided to lie to people around the world for like 40 years, they knew what the fuck they were doing.
9 out of 10 doctors recommend smoking Camels.
Filterless. Remember that matters.
Jesus.
Oof. Another reason why we shouldn't trust doctors and the medical institutions is they're just humans, right? So they can be bribed. They can be, oh, I think I'm making the argument for artificial intelligence doctors. Because they can't be bribed. But they can be programmed. Never mind.
So like, here's
Yeah,
the
they can
thing,
be
right?
hacked and-
Dentists make their money on us having bad teeth and bad oral health care, right?
That's why they give you a lollipop at the end.
Right, but why would I listen to a toothpaste company that says 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this toothpaste?
9 out of 10 dentists.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Crest. And it's like, well, wait a minute, though. If these dentists make their money off my teeth being bad, why would they recommend me a toothpaste that makes my teeth good?
Because they're tired of unaliving themselves for looking into our gross ass mouths.
Yeah, that's their own fault. They should have chose a different career path.
I've always found that kind of weird that dentists have one of the highest suicide rates.
Wait, really?
Yes. Dentists have
Dentists.
some of the highest suicide rates. I mean, being a doctor
I
is
gotta
one
Google
thing,
that.
but looking inside of a human mouth and seeing some of the most disgusting things possible. Like, I'm sure there are
There's no
dentists,
mouth bad enough to where I looked at it, I would just go jump off a building.
There are people who participate in scat. If I looked inside of someone's
Fuck's a
mouth
scat?
and
You
saw
don't want to know.
human feces,
Yeah, poop eating.
Ew.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I looked inside of a human being's mouth and
I would
saw
tell him to
poop,
get out.
I might just unalive.
Well,
I might just hit the reset.
definitely not doing that, but I'll be like, yeah, you're gonna have to get out of here.
Blech.
So I'm not seeing dentists on the list.
Oh, please don't tell me I've been lied to this about for the last 20 years of my life.
So I found one here that says dentists do have a high suicide rate.
Yeah.
But
They're kind of the trope for it, from what I remember.
so the first thing that popped up said major occupation groups with higher suicide rates include construction and extraction, farming, fishing, and forestry. So it would probably fall under this next one, personal care and services, which would cover both medical and
What is
dental.
construction and extraction?
I'm guessing people that like extract stuff out of the ground to get material from,
Oh, that makes a lot
or
of
like
sense.
or like
because
even mining.
those
Yeah, like-
jobs
yeah, like coal miners.
suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those jobs suck.
The other is installation, maintenance, and repair, arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media.
Huh. So I wonder why the trope has always been that dentists have one of the highest suicide mortality rates.
Well, I mean, they do fall under the personal care and service, which
Yeah. But that's
has
still, that was
higher.
like, what, 4th or 5th down that list? My entire life has just been a
second
lie.
in the group.
Okay.
The first group was construction and
And
extraction.
extraction.
Then the next was
I could definitely
Personal
see extraction. Like, if you're somebody in South America, like mining cobalt.
or sulfur. Have you ever seen?
Yeah, sulfur farming?
It's insane.
So here's a small thing of
I think that has like a 16-year lifespan. Like,
I don't think.
incredible
Yeah,
mortality
yeah,
rates.
maybe it was something like that.
so here's one that
They
says
just
why
have-
do dentists have such high suicide rate? It says the risk factors for occupational suicide include but are not limited to job-related isolation and demands, stressful work environments, work-home imbalance, and financial pressures.
So the same thing as everyone else on the face of the earth.
I
There
mean,
ain't no way.
I don't know how many times I would personally be able to look inside of somebody's mouth and like take drills to their jaw. And you're doing that, like, you're not a surgeon. You're a dentist and you're drilling holes in people's mouths daily.
Might as well have fun with it
That's-
and do the evil laugh every time you do it.
It's gross and kind of creepy. Ugh.
You just want to be cut out for a dentist. Maybe the people that are
Maybe be a
dentists-
gynecologist instead.
Oh, what?
Yeah, gynecologist.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it'd
not
be
squeamish
gross.
or anything. Like, if I had to do it, not if I had to, but if that is the path that I took, I don't see myself getting sick over it. Like,
I
I've
think
seen
50% of them are
things.
perverts, male gynecologists.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
Probably.
Maybe 100%.
I mean,
I think that has
it's hard to think
do-
they're not.
I think that has to do culturally, because in many cultures, women aren't allowed to be doctors. So when a position is forced to be filled by one gender or sex only, then, But here in America, if you're a male gynecologist, yeah, probably. I would feel very uncomfortable with it. Like, even looking at it in a professional sense, if
Well, yeah, of course.
a girl just came of age, I'd be like, no, get a woman to do that. No, that's a child.
Yeah.
No thanks.
One thing I couldn't be is a doctor that has to like reset broken bones. If bones so I can deal with blood and shit like that, but there's been like a couple UFC fights where guys have snapped their leg and their bones just flopping.
And then you
When
have
a-
to
when a
reset
bone-
it before they...
When a bone is bending in a way that body part is not supposed to bend, that's when I'm like,
Yeah.
can't, nope, can't do it. Anderson Silva was
I
a
think-
perfect example when Chris Weidman checked his leg kick and his leg just
Yeah.
wrapped right around
Yeah.
his. Oh God,
See, I think that's one of the things, though. Even if you are a doctor, if you see that, you're probably like, ooh. But if you've had to witness that and reset it
So many times.
you're
gonna
like a
Mhm.
get
human
used to it.
being, you get used to it.
You're
You
gonna
will
get
eventually.
acclimated.
then you
But
get to
we've
start
all
having
heard
fun
the
with
stories
it.
where like, I've been doing this for 75 years and I'm still not used to the sound of.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to have fun with it, walk in and see his leg flopped and be like, something about that leg doesn't look right. Let's see
Have you
what we
ever
can do
seen
about
like
that.
the Reddit stories of it's like doctors tell us the one time the worst case that you've ever seen, and then
Somebody comes out of
They're-
left field.
like it's just the most gross scenarios you can possibly think of, and it's like I don't know if they're telling the truth or if stuff like that really happens.
I mean, comedians in their comedy specials constantly talk to people in the crowd work, and there are doctors and sometimes nurses and things, and the nurses are straight up like, dudes would be like, what's the weirdest thing you found in somebody's ass? A light bulb. Just out
What?
of nowhere. X-ray technicians and things are like, you see some shit. Like, people do things. That
Yeah, those
weird.
are slightly weird. I'm talking about things where if you were just to read, you'd throw up.
Probably. I'm sure. I mean, some doctor had to do an autopsy on Mr. Hands after the horse incident. So
The fuck's Mr. Hands?
the internet, you don't want to be a part of.
What? Yeah, but what's a Mr. Hands? I gotta know. now.
So, Two Girls, One Cup.
yeah.
Okay. Mr. Hands was a notorious. He was a dude who was very famous and notorious on the darker parts of the web. You could still go to www. What was it? There was a couple of sites. They're not really around anymore.
Yeah,
but you can go to these
mid
sites.
2000s gross.
They were kind of like
bad
YouTube,
sites,
but it
yeah.
was all like snuff films and
Yeah.
shit. And there was a guy named Mr. Hands who would let animals assault him. And he
Like regular assault or sexual assault?
like grape.
Yee.
And he was graped by a horse.
I mean, it's not grape if it's consensual.
But he had a horse grape him, and his stomach blew up
Jesus Christ.
while he was like filming it, and his intestines and everything like exploded on his inside. And not good.
Yeah, I bet he regrets that decision.
Yeah, there was another couple
for
other videos
for
where
a couple seconds maybe.
yeah,
Or
a
minutes.
dude put like a glass jar inside of himself and then
yeah.
smashed it.
Well, it popped
Yeah, it looked like he smashed it.
maybe.
But there was
See, the light bulb in the ass, I can understand if it's for science, if you're trying to see if, you can conduct electricity
Yeah.
and you're putting
See
the,
if
just
you-
just the
if you
metal
have
part
bright
in there.
ideas.
Like putting just the metal part. You don't want to put the glass in there, but
No, but this is where a website where people were like doing novelty size contests where it's like, oh, I can take 14. Oh, I can take 18. Oh, I can take 27 and 7 around.
you can take your ass to a mental health care professional and work that shit out because you got problems when you're trying to do that.
I think we should probably reinstitute mental institutions. It's probably a healthy thing. I don't know why we ever got rid of them.
Electroshock therapy?
No,
Should bring that back.
no.
Oh.
That's very cruel and unusual.
Oh.
We do that to like murderers and rapists.
Oh,
Don't they still do that in conversion therapy?
I don't know.
I'll have to
electroshock.
Google that.
I mean, it's been
I don't think it's legal.
no. It was outlawed in mid '90s, early '90s, in the U.S. at least.
I know the last human lobotomy was performed in 1967.
And then it was either the son or the nephew of the guy that invented lobotomies that invented OxyContin
Really?
from the Sackler family.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying
Mhm.
about something.
That's interesting because they prescribed lobotomies
I
for
hated that.
quite literally everything. So,
Yeah, even like being gay.
yeah,
They'd be like, "Oh, we
being
can cure
gay,
that. Let's take part of your
um,
brain out."
being upset with your home life,
Yeah, too
stress.
Yeah, stress.
So yeah, electroshock therapy is still legal.
Is it actually?
A patient must provide written informed consent before electroshock therapy is administered.
What voltage?
Hmm.
Because or amperage, I guess that is the more
So I guess
accurate
upon
question.
request, you can still
Huh.
get it. They probably just stopped it from being widely used.
I'm guessing there's probably a lot of physicians that refuse to do something because
It's still administered to an estimated 100,000 people per year.
in the United States.
Mhm.
Really? I never
What?
hear of anybody getting it. That's a decent chunk of people.
Yo, get rid of my depression. Let me go get some electroshock therapy.
I might try it.
So the FDA banned electroshock therapy in 2020, but a federal court overturned the ban, accusing the agency of overstepping its authority.
Man, the FDA and they got their hands in everything. Shocking.
Yo, how does the
somebody. It's not
FDA
food
get
or drug.
overturned in like under a year, but yet we still can't have like bump stocks? What? That's dumb. That's kind of wild. Electroshock therapy is still legal in the United States. But it has to be by patient, probably by patient request. Because I'm sure there's not many doctors in this country that see that as an ethical option.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the voltage of electroshock therapy, it looks like it can range from 70 volts up to 460.
Oh, that's not even dangerous then. That's like holding a 9-volt to your tongue.
Well,
Much stronger, but
that's
still.
9 volts.
Yeah.
The most
But
common
you're holding it to your tongue, so it
Yeah.
feels because of the muscle and
Yeah, yeah.
nerves.
The most common side effects of electroshock therapy are nausea, headache, fatigue, confusion, and slight memory loss. I don't know why the last one makes me laugh. Slight memory loss.
And death.
Come back from it. You're like, whoa, what the fuck just happened, man?
So,
Do you ever just put batteries on your tongues just because it feels good?
No.
No? Oh.
So, what is the typical voltage of a police issued taser?
10,000? 5,000?
I think it's the up thousands. I don't think it'd be above 40 because I think that's when you start to get really dangerous. 40,000?
No, it's above that.
It's above 40?
So
Ooh.
police tasers generally operate at voltages ranging from 50,000 up to 150,000.
So, yeah, incapacitating dangerous. Yeah. That's why people seize up. So
I wonder if the light bulb in the ass would actually light up if you were getting tasered. We should try that.
Wait, isn't that something Steve-O tried?
I don't know.
I think that's something Steve-O
That
tried.
is something he would definitely try if he hadn't.
Yeah.
We need to reach out to him, see if he's willing to come on the podcast and try it.
So, electroshock therapy is anywhere from 70 to 400, as to where a police taser is 50 to 150.
Yeah,
I've
so
been tased
Thousands.
before, and it does suck.
I've been tased, but not by a police taser. I'm sure the one I
there
was
are
tased
tasers
by.
that are only like 4,000 volts.
Yeah, the
like-
one.
And that's still pretty shitty.
Yeah, it hurts.
But to think of something 10 times less than that, it probably stings. You know, you're like, oh, shit. But it probably just feels like getting stabbed with a needle a bunch, you know? Interesting.
Ooh, we
We
should
can
do
buy
a
a
video.
we can buy a taser here that's got 30,000 volts, and then one of you guys can stick the light bulb in your ass, and I can shoot you with it and
I
see
was
if it
gonna
lights
say
up.
we should do a video like the YouTube videos, like dollar versus, but it's 1 volt versus 1,000,000 volts, and then we just keep getting higher.
First one to die loses.
First one to die loses.
That could be a pretty good video idea. Because you see, like the dollar burger versus $10,000 burger,
Whoa,
dollar
what?
electric baton
I
versus
actually-
million.
I have been seeing a lot of those, but it's like one guy will go to a restaurant and be like, I'll buy the cheapest thing on the menu and the most expensive thing on the menu.
Okay, so you can buy stun guns that shoot out a lot more volts than even a police taser.
Yeah, they're probably highly illegal.
The one on here is 93 million volts.
That is death.
I'm assuming once you
Let's
get
try it.
past something, it's just the same effect.
Yeah,
I don't
once surpassing death still equals death. Like what? It's still death.
You get tased so hard you immediately reincarnate. You go beyond death and just wake back up in a different body.
I'm pretty sure all of your bowels will evacuate.
Like-
like there's no.
Like, what would be the
Only
difference
one way to
between
find out.
something like 2 million volts and 93 million? I mean, it's got to be the same.
Probably about 91 million volts.
Yeah.
I think
about
it would
the
be
difference.
how quick your insides cook.
Yeah, maybe
Like how quick your pancreas
Yeah, if
bursts
it's
into flames.
prolonged exposure.
Yeah.
It will just cook you quicker.
Well, they also say that the voltage isn't the actual like dangerous part of electricity, it's the amperage. And who knows? The electricians, I guess they would know. So
Yeah.
they would probably know. Yeah. And you said there's the one you found online that you could buy was how many volts?
This one right here on this website, the product name was the Jolt Tactical Police Rechargeable Stun Gun Flashlight, 93 million volts.
How much is that?
Don't know. It's not letting me click on it.
Oh,
Let me see
if
I
it's
doubt
on
that's-
Temu, it's probably like $14.
no, it's not
It's
on
probably
Temu.
not real. The Tactical Police Stun Gun Flashlight. Do the taser prongs come out of the flashlight?
I mean, this
part?
is on the
They
home
put all those
security
keywords,
store.
so if you search one thing, it'll pop up. That's why things are named ridiculously
probably.
long, jumbled mess.
That just seems. That really.
Is it just a bunch of them taped together?
I don't know, but it definitely sounds like you. If you want to be convicted of homicide, that's how you do it. Like, but it's just a stun gun. 1.9 million volts. What? Huh?
Burnt
Like
to a crisp.
70,000 volts is you're probably going to die. So you decided to do that 100 times more? What? That's stupid.
The most expensive stun gun they have on here, when I actually click on it on their shop, it's actually not telling me how many volts it is. That's strange.
It's probably some kind of safety thing.
Or you can turn
So-
it up. It goes from 0 to 1 billion.
However charged the battery pack is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's charged by Tesla, by the way.
I wonder what the highest voltage you can get in like anything. I wonder if you can get to like 1 trillion volts.
Not for personal use, probably. It'd have to be some kind of commercial
Or a-
licensing.
A Googleplex.
Google Plex?
Yeah.
What's that?
One with 100 zeros after it. That many volts.
Wait, that's a real thing?
Yeah,
It's
a-
called a
A
Google Plex?
Googleplex. That's why Google was named after it. Because a
Oh.
Googleplex is just a number that you can't really fathom. And you have all the information.
So why didn't
that
they
you
just
can't
call
even
it
fathom.
Infinity?
What? Oh, Google?
Yeah.
Just call it Infinity. There was already
So
a car brand with that name.
theoretically, voltage is unlimited. Apparently, there's like no threshold to where you could get. But this other thing above it says the highest operational transmission line voltage in the world is 1,150 kilovolts.
So,
Kilovolt would be 1,000 volts, I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah. So it's a billion volts.
It's quite a few volts.
1,000 kilovolts. So 1,000 times 1,000.
That's a million.
So I'm doing the math wrong.
Well, a kilovolt might be something different.
Isn't gigajoule the highest like electrical currency that we have right now?
Well, that's
think-
just energy output.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, we went from healthcare system to putting light bulbs in your ass and figuring out voltage.
Are you seeing how much a kilowatt?
Kilowatt. That's why he was named Kilowatt in Hunter x Hunter. Ah, that makes sense now.
So yeah, I think we covered a lot of the stuff we wanted to cover today.
Yeah. Segued kind of hard, but
Yeah, that would only
it
be
happens.
a million. That would only be a million watts.
If you guys want,
I wonder if that's like, it's probably per second, you know? Like it can transfer 1,000 volts per second or something like that. Because that would be unfathomable.
you guys want to wrap this one up today.
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of just rambling on
Yeah,
about
we're coming up
nonsense.
on we're coming up on 2 hours.
That's how it is.
Yeah, some interesting subjects, but I think we're starting to peter out.
Peter. Yeah. No, I think there's opportunities for different things. Like I said earlier, if we do like reaction videos, or
Yeah,
it's a little bit tougher if we try to do like reactionary to the hot thing of the day, because I mean we only film on Monday.
Yeah, yeah. We could also do like some single videos of like each person does
Yeah.
a video of them by themselves.
I am still waiting for this warmer weather again, since things are gonna start spicing up. It will be interesting to travel to like Corning and Ithaca and try to talk to people on the streets and
Yeah, that,
see if there's
that could be cool.
intellectual people around, or if all of them are just gonna screech like banshees.
Mindless zombies.
Yeah.
Corning you might get. As long as you're on like the strip.
Yeah.
The
Well,
Market
that's
Street.
one of the best places to go, is to Market Street and
Yeah.
then talk to people there.
That's really the only place to go.
Everywhere else is just Fenty.
But alrighty. Thank you for watching or listening, as most people do. What are we doing next week?
I don't know yet. We could always do stuff that's outlawed in other countries that's in our food, or that
Or
kinda
just
ties
things
into what we talked about
outlawed
today.
in other countries in general that we allow in the United States. That might actually be a pretty cool topic.
Yeah.
Things that the United States allows.
And things that we don't allow that other countries do.
Yeah. I kind of like that topic. So tune in next week and we might talk about that.
Oh, any word from your friend?
Which one?
The guy's brother. Xavier's brother?
Oh, I haven't reached out to him yet. I think he's still going through some of the medical stuff.
Yeah. And Pat hasn't gotten back a hold of me either.
Mm.
Man, trying to have people, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I know someone that actually is involved with a business that I can't really say they build the AI websites, because the AI builds the websites, but that's his company. It's an AI-based website builder. I could always try to talk to him to come on, because really the main thing we hear about AI is all the negative. So it'd be interesting to hear some of the positive that can come from AI.
But there's so many negatives.
There's a lot that can come to it, especially when if it ever advances.
If it ever takes over the
Yeah.
world.
But the website building sounds kind of interesting, because building a website, if you don't know how to do it, can be
It's
somewhat of a
so
headache.
easy nowadays. Like it really is.
It can still be somewhat of a headache just trying to put everything together.
I looked into it a little bit. It's annoying.
I'm sure.
rather than paying $50 and all of a sudden, boom, this AI designs
Builds
the whole thing
everything,
up for you.
codes it all
So,
for you.
yeah, I can always see if I can talk to him and get him on.
All right, hit that outro.
Yep. Yeah, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, let your friends know about what we're talking about. Trying to talk about the subjects that matter, sometimes what don't matter, but yeah, we'll have something fun for next week, regardless of what the topic is.
I mean, I always have fun.
Oh yeah. I like Mondays. But on that note, goodbye.